Don't be selfish. If you enjoyed the video, don't just leave. Make sure to subscribe to the channel, give the video a thumbs up, and leave a kind comment to show your support. Fact 1. Sharks can blink and wink. Sharks are generally perceived as scary, thanks, Jaws, but they can wink quite a charm. The nictitating membrane covers and protects a shark's eyes and, in doing so, gives it a blinking or winking appearance. Fact 2. Toilets usually flush in E-flat. Another weird bathroom fun fact, most toilets flush in a certain key. Try listening for the key of E-flat in your toilet at home. Fact 3. A raisin dropped in fresh champagne will keep bouncing up and down from the bottom to the top of the glass. When you add raisins to a glass of champagne, they'll sink to the bottom at first. However, after some time, the raisins will move up and down in the glass dancing. This motion is due to dissolved carbon dioxide in the liquid. The CO2 bubbles cling to the surface of the raisins. Thus, the raisin method is used to revive flat champagne as well. Fact 4. It takes 142.18 licks to reach the center of a Tootsie Pop. The Tootsie Pop was created in 1931 and was a popular staple during the Great Depression because of its cheap price. The more you know, right? Fact 5. Human birth control pills work on gorillas. During an experiment conducted on 4 captive gorillas, scientists observed a difference in behavior. Peak sexual behavior was observed during menstruation rather than after. Fact 6. When the first Star Wars movie came out, France was still executing people with the guillotine. The first Star Wars movie, Episode 4, came out in 1977. France used the guillotine for capital punishment until it was abolished in 1981. Fact 7. Queen Elizabeth II owned the swans in England. Not only did she own generations of corgis, but this monarch also co-owned most of the geese in England. Why? Swans were the British royal family's symbol. As of the 12th century, legislation was passed stating that all mute swans were under the ownership of the crown. In the 15th century, 2 other entities were entitled to the swans in the River Thames. Fact 8. During World War II, the Oscar Awards were made of painted plaster. The prestigious Oscar Awards were made of painted plaster for 3 years following the metal scarcity of World War II. After the war, the Academy offered to replace the plaster figures for gold-plated metal ones. Fact 9. For every non-porn webpage, there are 5 porn pages. Whether that's part of the fun facts is up to you or not, but 30% of all data transferred across the internet is porn. Fact 10. Napoleon Bonaparte's penis was stolen. Posthumously, if that makes it any better. The genitalia was removed from his body by his doctor during autopsy. Allegedly, it was given to a priest in Corsica. However, his junk was not properly preserved, so now it has been compared to dried leather and beef jerky. It was first displayed in a museum in 1927. Currently, the daughter of a urologist, who bought it for $3,000 to keep under his bed, keeps it. Bids for the shriveled genitalia have reached $100,000. Fact 11. M&M stands for Mars and Murray's. The 2 M's on this candy staple represent the names of Forrest E. Mars Sr., founder of Newark Company, and Bruce Murray, son of Hershey Chocolate's president William F. R. Murray. One of the little-known fun facts about M&M's is that it's made with Hershey's chocolate. Another fun fact? It's a copycat product. Mars only had an idea for the product from seeing its British predecessor, Smarties. Fact 12. Millions of trees were estimated to be planted by squirrels that forgot their buried nuts. DreamWorks' Ice Age franchise may not be fully accurate, but it sure got one thing right: squirrels love burying their nuts. Fact 13. A pound of houseflies contains more protein than a pound of beef. Another little known fact, or maybe Just one we don't want to acknowledge about insects is that they are a very rich protein source. So much so that sustainability advocates are calling for insects as a meat substitute. Fact 14. Cats sleep for 2/3 of their lives. People have a love-hate relationship with cats. It's somewhat understandable, since cats tend to be the exact opposite of the warm, eager demeanor loved by many in dogs. Another stark difference is that cats spend a lot of time asleep. Like, 15-hour average kind of a lot. Cats sleep mostly during the day and only become active around twilight. Fact 15. Alfred Hitchcock's Psycho was the first American film to show a toilet being flushed on screen. The groundbreaking flushing took place right before Janet Leigh's character's iconic shower scene. Fact 16. The Eiffel Tower leans away from the sun. Heat makes metals expand. As such, the top of the Eiffel Tower can move up to 7 inches in the summer. Fact 17. A laughing epidemic made 14 schools close in East Africa. In 1962, a laughter epidemic broke out in Tanganyika, now known as Tanzania. It started with 3 young girls, and the uncontrollable laughter spread to neighboring villages. Symptoms included crying, fainting, rashes, and pain. All in all, it made 14 schools close. Fact 18. The youngest parents in the world were aged 8 and 9. The parents had their child in China in 1910. Fact 19. During World War I, Kotex was first manufactured as bandages. No, they didn't actually use the pads. However, the material used for these bandages, cotton, was what eventually became the first Kotex pad in 1919. Fact 20. Drinking coffee in Turkey was once punishable by death. In 1633, the Ottoman Sultan Murat IV beheaded anyone he saw drinking coffee in public. Aside from coffee being seen as a mild narcotic back then for its stimulating properties, Murat IV believed that coffee shops could encourage dangerous thoughts or speech against his rulership. Fact 21. The Speaker of the House isn't allowed to speak in England. Okay, not literally. Instead, the Speaker of the House acts as a mediator for debates. They are not allowed to speak their own opinion on an issue. Fact 22. Crocodile poop was the first contraceptive. The ancient Egyptians certainly had a unique way of doing things. One of the fun facts about Egypt is how they practiced safe sex. Women would insert crocodile dung into their vagina. Fun? The science was that it would soften when it reached body temperature, forming a barrier. Fact 23. The youngest pope elected was 11 years old. Pope Benedict IX was one of the most controversial popes. People aren't even sure when he was elected as the pope. However, the choices were 20, 11, or 12. If that were true, he was the youngest pope. Fact 24. Only 2 countries don't sell Coca-Cola. Due to political reasons, North Korea and Cuba do not distribute the world's most famous drink. Fact 25. The Paris Agreement on Climate Change was signed by the largest number of countries ever in one day. The Paris Agreement, Accord de Paris, is an agreement within the United Nations Framework Convention on Climate Change, UNFCCC, which deals with greenhouse gas emission mitigation, adaptation, and financing. Initially signed in 2016, 195 UNFCCC members have signed the agreement as of November 2019. Urge dangerous thoughts or speech against his rulership. Fact 26. The world's quietest room is located at Microsoft's headquarters in Washington State. In Building 87 of Microsoft's headquarters in Redmond, Washington, lies the quietest room in the world. With a record-breaking background noise of -20.35 dBA, this room is 20 decibels below the minimum of human hearing. It is so silent that if you stay in it for long enough, you'll start to hear your heartbeat, a deafening ringing in your ears, and the grinding of your bones. To achieve absolute silence, the room was constructed with an onion-like structure made of 6 layers of concrete and steel. Fact 27. Only 3 countries don't use the metric system, namely Myanmar, Liberia, and the U.S. Fact 28. President Bush was re-elected by less than 31% of all eligible voters in the United States. Only 60.7% of eligible voters participated in the U.S. presidential election of 2004. It was the highest percentage in 36 years, but more than 78 million people did not vote. Fact 29. Wayne's World was filmed in 2 weeks. The critically and commercially acclaimed 90s comedy only took 2 weeks to shoot. Pretty surprising for a 95-minute film. Fact 30. Dodge made the first engines used by Ford. The Dodge Brothers Company built every part of the earliest Ford car except the seats and tires. Fact 31. In ancient Egypt, priests plucked their bodies bald. Ancient Egyptians believed that body hair was unhygienic and shameful. As such, it was a common practice for men, women, and children to remove their body hair. Fact 32. The population of the United States increases by 1 person every 12 seconds. Every 8 seconds, a person is born. Every 25 seconds, an immigrant is added, and a death occurs every 13 seconds. Fact 33. Toto was paid $125 per week while filming The Wizard of Oz. In the 1939 hit The Wizard of Oz, Toto was played by a brindle Cairn Terrier named Terry. She was paid a $125 salary each week, which was even more than some of the human actors, i.e., the singer midgets who played the Munchkins allegedly received $50 to $100 a week. Fact 34. The electric chair was invented by a dentist. In more shocking fun facts, perhaps literally Alfred Southwick was a dentist who conceptualized electrical execution when he heard of an intoxicated man who died from touching a live electric generator. Realizing the man's quick death, Southwick concluded that electricity could be an alternative to hanging for executions. However, he first intended for electrocution to euthanize stray dogs. Fact 35. Frankenstein is a vegetarian. Turns out, this figure always seen along with Dracula and Ghost isn't as scary as you think. Victor Frankenstein's creature is, in fact, a vegetarian. In the Mary Shelley novel Frankenstein, the creature says, "My food is not that of man. I do not destroy the lamb and the kid to glut my appetite. Acorns and berries afford me sufficient nourishment." Fact 36. The Terminator script was sold for $1. James Cameron is the award-winning director who made his name with hits such as Titanic, Avatar, and The Terminator. However, his life wasn't always that grand. In fact, in order to get his breakout hit made with The Terminator, he sold the script for $1 and a promise that he'd get to direct. Fact 37. Computer mouse speed is measured in Mickeys. The rollerball device was first invented by a British scientist in 1946 while working for the Royal Navy. However, the word mouse was not coined until 1965. Fact 38. Pigeon poop is property of the British royal family. Pigeon poop was used to make gunpowder in the 18th century, so King George I confirmed all the droppings as property of the crown. Fact 39. Ancient Egyptians slept on pillows made of stone. The ancient Egyptians used wooden or stone headrests as pillows. They believed it helped with body vigor, blood circulation, warding away demons. Fact 40. The microwave oven was another accidental invention. The heating effect of a high-power microwave beam was accidentally discovered when it melted a chocolate bar in 1945. Percy Spencer, an American self-taught engineer, was working on an active radar set when he noticed his chocolate melted in his pocket. Fact 41. In Elizabethan England, the spoon was so novel and prized that people carried their own folding spoons to banquets. In the 13th century, the coronation of every British king was preceded by a ritual where the new king would be anointed by a ceremonial spoon. Fact 42. Millie the White House dog earned more than 4 times as President Bush in 1991. Once known as the most famous dog in White House history, Millie was one of the Bush's family dogs. One of her amazing feats? The $900,000 in royalties earned from Millie's book easily outsold the $2,291 earned in 1991 by the president for his 1988 campaign autobiography, Looking Forward. Fact 43. Nebraskan drivers had the flashiest traffic situation back then. In 1912, a Nebraska law stated that night drivers must do the following: stopping every 150 yards, sending up a skyrocket, then waiting 8 minutes for the road to clear before proceeding, while blowing their horns and shooting off flares. Fact 44. Over 70% of people would reveal their passwords for chocolate. In a 2004 study, 71% of office workers stopped on the street agreed to give up their computer passwords for a chocolate bar. Who could blame them? Fact 45. A Boeing 747 airliner is made of over 6 million separate parts. The Boeing 747-8 is known as the world's longest aircraft. It takes 4 months to finish building. Fact 46. The word testified is based on testes. The term testified is said to be rooted in the ancient Roman custom of making men swear on their testicles in court. However, there is no written confirmation that this is the case. Instead, people may have taken the Latin word testis out of context. It can mean testes, but also translates to witness. You decide which one makes more sense. Fact 47. Pants used to be a dirty word. Shortened from pantaloons, pants was considered vulgar by some language commentators. In Ambrose Bierce's 1909 book Write It Right, he wrote the following on using the term pants for trousers, abbreviated from pantaloons, which are no longer worn. Vulgar exceedingly. Fact 48. Palindromes are the most difficult kind of phrase to form. According to language experts, the hardest phrase to create is a palindrome, a sentence or group of sentences that are the same when reading forward or backward. Examples include: 1. A man, a plan, a canal, Panama. 2. Madam, I'm Adam. 3. Never odd or even. Fact 49. The oceans contain 200,000 different kinds of viruses. Dive deep into this next fun fact. Marine viruses have been found in the ocean from the surface down to 4,000 m deep and from the North to the South Pole. Most of these viruses are harmless to humans. However, they can infect marine life such as whales and crustaceans. Fact 50. The tallest tower of cupcakes ever made is over 35 feet. On September 23, 2017, Cupcakes of Hope, ZAF, built a tower of cupcakes standing at 35 feet 4 inch, 10.77 m, tall in Vereeniging, South Africa.